Welcome to Spaces Between, a podcast about bringing gamers closer together. Today I have Stella from Meeple University and the Dice Tower How to Play videos now. Hype! What's going on, Stella?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Roy. How are you going?
Super awesome. Super excited to have you on the show, and so we can talk to you and get to know more about you, and we can just hang out, you know?
Yeah, I know. I'm super excited to be here. Unfortunately, the other half of Meeple University / Dice Tower Tarrant is at work. It is currently 11 a.m. today here. I believe it's 9 p.m. there where you are.
Yep. You're technically Tuesday already, so you're like in the future.
Yes. Someone actually asked me for Touch Lotto number. I was like, oh, you're in the future. Just give me the winning Touch Lotto number. I'm like, doesn't work like that. Sorry.
It's not exactly. You're like, do I have to tell you how time actually works? You should have gone on Einstein and relativity on them.
That's it. Yeah, I'm hyped. I'm here.
I know. I was telling Tom, I'm like, oh my goodness, Stella is the only person that can maybe out-hype me, because Stella is always hyped.
No. I'm just like, I had to hype down myself. I just like jumping around, and then like, that's it. I'm gone out of the window, out of the door.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, so you've been doing Meeple University for a while, and you've been on Board Game Breakfast, and you're going to start doing a bunch of how to play videos on the Dice Tower channel as well. Can you tell us a little bit about like all the different things you do?
Well, we actually only started in February 2018, so that's like in a bit. We're starting off with the intention of, so our first video ever is how to play video. The intention is so that we film ourselves and we remember, like, if we forget the rules in the future, we can just watch ourselves there while also sharing it with others. I mean, the first video is like so bad. Like, I'm sure that you can relate to. Well, everyone in the media can probably relate.
Right.
Not everyone. I think some people are just perfect, but we are not.
They probably had experience from somewhere else if they brought it over. I mean, most people start off, it's a little bit rocky. Yeah.
So ours is just no intention whatsoever. We just film ourselves. Well, basically, I'm filming with my phone. No tripod, no lights. Nothing. It's just like filming pan. I got a steady hand, but still not as steady as tripod. So I was filming. I was filming either Happy Pix or Parade, I think it's called, the game. It was an easy game, and it was really dodgy. So maybe don't watch it. It's somewhere in our channel. It's so dodgy. So yeah, that's it. And then from that on, we can just we started to get. I don't know, just I feel it's rewarding in the board game community to help somebody learn and play the rules. I was looking at a few other people like Rodney Smith, I had watched it play, Paul Grogan from Gaming Rules, and a few others as well. But I was like, oh, they're good. Like, I wish we can, do something like really clear, really concise, so people can learn straight away. Because I'm also a visual person, so I can. Yeah, I rather learning board game through video, but these days I also read rule books, and I found that quite rewarding as well. So that's it. So from that on, and then I keep adding like segments and my vlog, and there's Stella short and sweet, just like a punchy overview thing of the board games usually. Play through the Kickstarter preview. But yeah, I'm so excited. I've recorded a video for the Dice Tower How to Play.
Yeah.
And it's more coming, and you know that.
Yeah. I know you're going to have like several things that are going to be coming up super soon, so that's super exciting. And you've been doing Board Game Breakfast for quite a while too, right? So.
It was probably end of last year, probably. Yeah. It wasn't that long ago, but it feels like a while.
It feels like it's been forever. There's been so many things that have happened this year. I know you've done like a ton of conventions too, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's just so good. Like, meeting you in person, meeting everybody that we usually chat on social media in person. It's just such a great. I can't describe it with words. Like, I can tell you that's like very rewarding. looking at people and then asking people, "Oh, hi, you actually real?" Like that. But coming on, I'll be going to Essen, and I'll see you there, of course. You'll be there, right?
I won't be at Essen. The rest of the crew is going to Essen, but
Aww.
I don't actually even have a passport, so I'm not allowed to leave the country. That's what they told me.
No. Well, you can passport. So, there's no point for me. I shouldn't go to Essen then. What's the point?
I know, right? If Roy's not going, I need a hashtag bring Roy or something. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, somebody's got to stay home and watch over everything and edit all the things while people are gone. But yeah, flying to Essen from the U.S. is not the cheapest thing. So, but yeah, maybe next year. Maybe next year.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, convention is really good. Meeting people in person and playing games. But I think it's more about meeting people than playing games on the convention so far. Mm-hmm. And you know that. I think I saw. Is it your post? This is something. It's about meeting the people.
I think for Gen Con I said something along the lines of like, what did I say? I was like, this convention I focused less on like trying to get a whole bunch of games played and more just building relationships with people. And I thought that was cool because I like got to hang out with tons of awesome people, like like a lot of the people that I've had on this show, like I hung out with at Gen Con. So like I talked with Mike Delisio and I hung out with you and I hung out with the Kirbys and stuff. And there was tons of awesome contributors we have at the Dice Tower. But on top of that, I got to hang out with lots of other people outside of the Dice Tower too. There's so many amazing media creators out there, so many amazing designers. And it's just fun to get to hang out with everybody. Like me and you and Tom played a game with Emerson, which was a cool thing too.
Yes.
Yeah. Y'all got to play the Foundations of Rome game. Yeah, you did wreck us all. So.
No, I got lucky. And Emerson didn't win. I'm sure that's like, I'm sure he just let us win.
Honestly, that's the only thing I care about is the fact that Emerson didn't win. So I'm just glad about that.
Yeah, but the thing is like I think you and me are the same, and most people here are the same. We don't play to win anyway. Like we play to just hang out with people and also try new games and play games with each other. And also that's how I met Tarrant. Board games. Sure. Crazy, yeah.
Yeah. So, did you get him into board games?
No, we actually met at this random board game meetups.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah. So random board game meetups. We were wanting one player to play, what is that? Valley of the Kings, the card games, the Afterlife version. Yeah. So I was like, and then Tarrant was just like randomly just come up and it was looking for a game to play at the time. Mm-hmm. So the host was teaching us the game and he was like, hey Tarrant, just come here, and introduced me to us. So I call him the Cupid now. So he just play and then he smashed us. It was like, wow, that's so impressed. And he's got this dry sense of humor. And we'll just play and then we become board game buddies. I'm more crazy with board games. So I used to play board games back then, like 4 times a week at least.
Oh,
4
that's
nights
crazy.
A week.
So you went to tons and tons of board game meetups and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's the one. Like I met a lot of great friends through board games as well. Mm-hmm. So Tarrant was one of those, and he only plays once a fortnight. Mm-hmm. Oh, it used to be once a month, and then because of me, it's once a week, and then now it's just like
every day board games.
I know, I just can't have enough. It's just like, the new one, the old one, and I'm an omni gamer as well, so I like all sort of types. And
so if you like them all, that means you have to play them all.
Yeah, that's it. I admire design. It's like,
what would you say is like the community like there in Australia? Since I know it's probably a lot harder to get games there, and I've heard that it's really expensive to get board games in Australia. So what's the community like? Do a lot of people gather together, or like do people like say, I'm going to buy this game, you buy that game, and then we'll come together and play them?
Yes. So that's basically it. So games a little bit hard, yes. Mm-hmm. And the board game shops, well, you can order from Amazon. Yeah. But certain games are restricted, so they can't ship it to Australia. Gotcha. Some sort of agreement or something. So we have to wait most of the times, unless if we go to conventions. Now that's different, so we get all the new games there. Yeah. And there are random meetups. There's PAX Australia is coming very soon. Yeah. That's the Australian PAX is mixed from board games and the console gamers as well.
Right.
So not just the board games, but they're getting bigger and bigger. So that's really exciting. So hopefully they keep getting bigger. They've got this collab. I think it's called Collaboratory or something like that, where designers with new games can showcase their games or can demo their games. They have different slots. That's really good. That happened last year, and now they have it this year as well. So I think it's really good to encourage people that have been designing games to showcase their games. It's like, always admire those the game designers. They're really. I wish I could design games, but I can't. I don't have the brain capacity, I think, to design games.
So you just get to enjoy and play them all.
I know, yeah. So that's why I always appreciate like many type of games because you know I'm sure there are a lot of work behind it. I mean, you know, you design games, right? Are you? Can I say that?
No. I attempt to. I try to. So we'll see. Maybe someday something will come out. It's weird. Like I wouldn't consider myself a game designer. I know this is probably weird until like I actually have like a published game. You know. So it's like I think that's like the main point. It's like eventually someday maybe it'll be like, oh well, it's an actual. Can you call yourself a game designer if you don't actually have an actual game out? I don't know. Maybe. But is it like are you a board game media creator if you've never actually created a published video? You know.
That's true. That's a good point. But you can always publish your own game.
Yes, and I mean Kickstarter made that a lot easier, but that's extremely hard these days because that basically becomes your entire job when you do that. You become a logistics manager and a business manager and all that other stuff. So.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's really hard because yeah, you have to dedicate a lot of time to Kickstarter, and there are a lot of competitions. I mean, look at the same game maybe on Kickstarter a few years back compared to now. It's just different, isn't it? The market is it's quite saturated with games, like you know.
Yeah, and there's so many. I've told a lot of people this, or I've talked to a lot of people about this. It's like there's so many good games, you can't play them all. There's so many great games, you can't even play all the great games. So it's like I feel like what Tom and the guys do here at the Dice Tower is awesome because it helps people figure out. I mean, even if they agree with their opinions or not, there's a ton of content that can help people find the good games as opposed to the other games that might not necessarily fit their taste. And even if it's like, oh, Tom didn't like that game, you get a chance to look at it and be like, oh, well, let me check that out for myself because I know Tom and me don't have the same taste, or maybe you do have the same taste, and that makes it even easier. And then with how to plays and things like that, it gives more spotlight on different games, and people can see like, oh, that's how you play that game. Maybe I'll try it out. And then once you have it, you can just jump into the game that much easier, you know?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we have that obligation or that duty to show people stuff games. And that's exactly why I did the my short and sweet segment. I call it Stella Short and Sweet. Because it's like really punchy, like 2-3 minutes. I try to keep it like 3 minutes or below. So like these days, people are pretty time poor.
Right.
And they just want to know exactly like what it's like. It's as if somebody asked me, so what's the game's about? And that's my 3-minute spiel basically. So that's hopefully helps with people with like a bit of a time poor situation.
Do you normally do like games that you're currently super excited about for those? Or is it all sorts of games, like even games that you might not necessarily be as big of a fan of?
Well, back again, I am an omni gamer. There are some games that I'm super excited about. There's some game that is fine, and I like more games than Tarrant. So this segment is like it's good, so I can tell people like this is the game, this is what happened. If the game is really bad, I won't do it. Probably it's because I'll probably like you can see that I don't really enjoy the game or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
The game they are not like child friendly.
Right.
You know, like we child-friendly channels, so there are some games that are in kind of like borderline, so we don't show some parts of the game, so we just show the safe sides maybe, and that's fine. As long as it's not like adult themes, like specifically adult theme, then and we're fine.
I'm so tired of those games. Like, There's so many of them, especially after like the Cards Against Humanity stuff. Like so many of those kind of games came out, and I'm just like, why? Make it stop.
Yeah, there are lots of them. That's I don't know. I think it's not for us because we play like so many, but maybe for people who just got into board games. Like I helped a board game shop before, and people go there and then buy Cards Against Humanity. So like, oh yeah, that's good. Like that's your starting point. That's actually one of my starting points. Cards Against Humanity and Red Dragon 8.
Oh, dang.
So after that, I was like, there's board game. What? There's tons of other board games than Monopoly. Hang on, is Monopoly a board game? Yes, it is. But you know, like there's so many things. It's just crazy. So one of those that can bring people in, lure people in, like, oh yeah, this is it. This is a kind of like.
I would still rather like. I'd still rather show somebody like Dixit or something like that. Like, oh, look at this awesome art. It's still the same kind of game, sort of, but it's cool art, and we get to make up the words that don't necessarily have to be so edgy, you know?
I know. Just, Dixit's really good. I like that. That's one of my starting board games as well. Mm-hmm.
Even though you're an omni gamer, what would you say are like your favorite kinds of games? Like if you had a few games you'd say, I really am enjoying these right now, or like this is my favorite sort of game, what would you say that is?
Eurogamer, baby. Eurogames. So I like a lot of fun. So before I get into board games, I play a lot of computer games.
Oh yeah?
Let's say Warcraft.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah? Okay. So in Warcraft, there's a part where you build. Like you gather resources, you build your things, your engine or whatever. Not really so much as engine. And then you get to defend yourself and attack. So I find myself, like, I like that the whole lot. But I find myself prefer the building bit.
Yeah.
So basically Euro games.
Yeah.
Right? So without the attacking, sometimes like, I'm okay with some attacking, but sometimes I'm like, no, don't attack me. But yeah, so maybe Euro games is the one that I usually.
What one do you like lean towards? Is there a specific one that you're like, I really like this one, or one that you're currently playing? You think?
Well, look, there's one, but I can't tell you, and you probably know why. It's a secret. It's a secret game, so that one is really good. It's coming out. I guess I can say it's a tiny Epic Games, but I can't say the title.
Secrets.
It's super good.
Nice, awesome.
Secret.
Yeah, I haven't actually played. That's awesome.
It might be one of the best one, if not the best, like that they have so far.
Since you like Warcraft so much, have you played Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea yet? That's another gambling game.
Yes, I play that. Yeah.
What do you think about that game? That's Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea is actually my number one game. So.
Oh wow, it's so good where you I like the part where you can follow other people, but then you have to make sure that you have the resources.
Yeah.
It's so good, so pretty. It has great table presence. Mm-hmm. What do you like about it?
I like that it's like what you said in Warcraft. You get to do all the build up, and then. I actually also like the attack part. So it's like I really enjoy games where you get to like build up all your resources and you get to work towards something and then utilize those resources to jump out and attack people or get points in certain ways. But that's also why I like Twilight Imperium a lot too, because it has the same sort of thing where you're building up and then you're trying to figure out how to get points. In that game you don't necessarily attack as much, but if you need to, you can be like, okay, now I'm going to attack this person or that person. But lots of good games that allow you to do both the Euro-y side of stuff and then sometimes the Ameritrashy or whatever they call attacking and jumping on people's side of stuff.
Is it what they say, like Ameritrash? I was going to say that I quite like that sort of game as well, but is it the terms, the right terms? I feel like it's just got
for
like
some reason. Yeah, for some reason that's what they used to call like the American games where there's lots of luck and attacking and jumping on people and take that sort of stuff. And I guess it was supposed to be sort of a derogatory term at first, but most people that enjoy those games are just like they've taken it and run with it. Sometimes people call it Amerithrash games instead, so it doesn't sound as negative. But it's just like those games that have a lot of luck and randomness in it, but are more like thematic based instead of like, you know, like resources and points and things like that.
Yeah. Oh, thematic as well. Like I like themes for some themes. I'm not really like focused on theme, but if the themes the themes that I like food theme or what is it? Just like a fantasy, sort of medieval. I like great artwork. I mean, these days you have to have good artwork, isn't it, for board games?
I feel like artwork is one of the biggest things that drives like a game these days. I mean, the game has to be good, but man, some of the things like Wingspan and stuff like that, it's like just amazing artwork. And Vincent Dutrait has so many games with amazing artwork, and a lot of those games like sell just because the artwork looks so good. I feel like it gets people's foot in the door, you know?
Yeah. Wow, it's like some of the older games as well get redone or kickstarted for newer artwork and upgraded components and so on. Because this is it, like people want a better artwork for the games that they love. So I think that's just like so that people can look at the games more rather than you know it's very plain, very sterile or whatever these days.
I love the artwork and aesthetics in game. I don't know, it's a big deal to me. Like as far as like how I like miniatures and good looking art and things that look awesome when I play the game. And I know that even the games that people would be considered like Euro games, they used to be like dry, like brown and beige and all sorts of stuff. But even like the awesome Euro games are starting to look really, really good, which is just great for the hobby in general, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. Like even now, like this Instagrams of people like posted pretty games everywhere. That's just like maybe just drive everything to look prettier. And I've got here as well behind me. You can see. I don't know if you can see.
A little bit.
Miko did the artwork. Yeah. So that's the Miko did artwork for me and Terrence. Like me and Terrence on top of this creature on there.
That's awesome.
It's one of my favorite board game artists. Yeah.
That's cool.
Like everywhere. And him and Ian O'Toole and
for sure.
And like all those guys and Andrew Bosley for Everdell. Yeah, they're great. Like I always got talents like that, right? It's crazy.
I know, for real. I can't.
So good.
I can do a little bit of graphic design, but I can't draw at all.
Yeah. I'm sure you're still better than me.
Maybe stick figures. No.
That's good enough.
Yeah, that's not going to sell a board game though.
I'm still looking forward for your board games though. So yeah.
Someday. But yeah, so you go to all these meetups and you've done tons of different stuff. What do you think? And you said you learned like got into the hobby with a little bit of Cards Against Humanity and Red Dragon Inn. But how did you like first start? Like, did a certain friend introduce you to things, or did you just come upon the board games by yourself, just exploring things, or how do you think you got into the hobby?
How did I get into the hobby? So I think there's I lived with a flatmate back then, and then her group of friends like board game. So
that's awesome.
It was like one person was like having I invite people to have food and then play somebody bring board games. I can't remember. I think it was Cards Against Humanity. Oops. And then that didn't actually push me into the board game hobby. And then in the same group, somebody's birthday was like celebrating it by playing Red Dragon Inn. So it was like got there. I was hesitant first, to be honest. I was like, what is that? But like has got pretty art and people are having fun. It was a take that game. Now, are you familiar with Red Dragon Inn?
I know of the game. I haven't really. I don't think I played it, but I know it's like that style of like almost Munchkin-ish a little bit, right? Or
yes, something like that. So like just to take that, there's you just need to not to die the last one standing in the game.
Oh, nice.
So there's a lot of that, and I can see that the group is like we know each other and everyone's having fun. So I start to jump in, and it's funny because it's like my first board game, like proper board games. and people kind of like didn't want to attack me at first. I was like, oh, sweet. I just like to chat. They're like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. But then after that,
did you have to like negotiate with people and be like, hey, don't attack me, or they're just nice enough to you?
Oh, at first they're nice, but then I keep like starting to win, and then it's like, nah, you're not winning. So it was fun. It was like that's the game, right? So that got me started, and then what happened after that? I was planning to go to US. It was my first trip. It was like, I don't know, 5 years or so ago, and it took me a while to do all the trips, all the planning. Like I like to plan, and then I went to US with my friends. I didn't know Tarrant then, and then I'm back, and I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? Like I used to plan a lot, use a lot of time to plan. So I was like, oh, there's a local board game group on Tuesday night. So I don't know, should I go or not? So stop it, I'll go. So I went there and played some board games. It was Jaipur.
Oh, crazy.
It was Jaipur and Forbidden Island or one of those.
That's awesome.
Maybe Forbidden Island. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is great. And I kept coming back, and I start to research other board game meetups, and then I'm not stopping. So that's basically it. I was just like, okay, yep, I've got, I think I was single at the time as well. And that's also how I met Tarrant. So
that's awesome.
That board game. Yeah, just.
Yeah, I think meetups are awesome because I think they're a cool way that people can like be introduced to the hobby. And I think sometimes people might be intimidated to play games at a store, and sometimes I think at a store sometimes different. Were the meetups that you had, were they actually at a game store, or were they like, I've been to a bunch of meetups like at restaurants and things like that before too. What are the meetups like there in Australia?
Yeah, this is like that too. So the meetup that I go usually in a restaurant, you can eat and play board games, so it's kind of like a relaxed environment. There's also like restaurant and pub, and from then on, then I get to know people, and then I started inviting them to my place to play board games.
Oh, that's awesome.
I met like a lot of people through board games. It's just crazy good. I still have friends that don't really play board games. I think I've converted some that into board games, but I don't want to force people that don't like board games to games. But a lot of great people in board games. Like having things in common I think is really good for friendship.
Yeah, I think so too. And there's something about like putting down the phone or putting away the screen and like sitting there and interacting with each other face to face. And I feel like you can build really strong friendships over like playing games together. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
And sometimes even relationships, like you and Terrence found each other. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And how about you? Like you have like that too in America, right? Before all this, did you go to meetups, or did you have friends?
I mean, I feel like I had a lot of friends that I played games with. And my dad was super big into board games, so he got me into games. And I played a lot of like card game tournaments and things like that, and we played some board games there. But like you, some of the first board games I played were like Flux and Munchkin and things like that. Like the game's like, oh, we don't talk about those anymore. It's kind of like
stop now.
Exactly.
Stop.
Exactly. And I feel like we all get there, but I mean those games can sometimes be great entry games for people, and that can lead into more bigger things. And I don't know. I played like Betrayal House on the Hill, and when one of my friends introduced me to Battlestar Galactica, a guy that I played Dungeons & Dragons with, he's like, hey, we're going to do this game weekend, but we're going to play some D&D, but we're also going to play this game called Battlestar Galactica. I had never heard of it before, but the whole like semi-cooperative, like with a trader aspect, like it just, I was like, there are board games that do this, and it kind of like opened my eyes to the whole world of board gaming. And then I started like getting in more to games, and then like started watching the Dice Tower. I found videos, and I actually sold off my Magic collection and ended up buying a whole bunch of board games. And it was mostly a bunch of games that I had seen from Tom's reviews. I was like, let me get Summoner Wars and Twilight Imperium and Battlestar Galactica and all this cool stuff. And then I needed people to play with. I had my friends, but then I found meetup groups as well. So if there's anybody out there that is looking for a game group or doesn't have somebody to play with, check on Meetup or look for like Facebook groups as well. Sometimes there's local Facebook groups that people use to organize getting together and play. And there's a lot of really cool ones. So
Meetup is really good. Meetup.com is the best. Like you can just localize to your city, and then you can just find like different activities, not just board game. You can just find other stuff there. I went there. Yeah, this is back again when I was single. I went there for other things as well, like single meetup or something. It never works. But yeah, the board game one is really good. Meetup.com. It's just amazing. I can't believe that's just one of those things that just random people meet up and then do something that you love. Yeah, it's really amazing. And so that's how you get into board games. Were you kind of like a little bit overwhelmed at first? Like, oh, there's like these big board games? Because I was a little bit like, I wasn't overwhelmed. I was just, it was somebody else's comment that says, oh, I like to play this, but it's probably a little bit too complicated for you, Stella. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine.
Whatever. Stella will wreck people in some games. We played Foundations of Rome. She showed us how tough she can be. Oh.
No. I was just lucky. But at the time, that person's probably true. I wasn't really, it's probably a little bit too heavy for me.
I think sometimes people might be surprised with what people can handle or whatever, as long as you have the attention span and are willing to learn. Like anybody can play any sort of game. And I mean, we recently did a top 10 on the channel that was like top 10 introductory games. And Sam put a lot of games on there that weren't necessarily like super simple, but like sometimes people would want to jump in on a bigger game. Like Battlestar Galactica is not an easy game, but like the other games didn't really grab me the same way that one did because I had already played a lot of other games. And you never know. I mean, with these days, so many people play video games. And I mean, sometimes there's a game that would fit their taste in video games in the board game realm, but they can play face to face with other people and build those relationships. So you never know.
Yeah.
You have to know your audience, So. Yeah,
absolutely. That's it. It's like, it's just these days there's so many varieties as well. One thing that I just played Chocolate Factory yesterday. It was so cool, the theme. It's a Euro game. It's the theme is it's food theme. That's
the one with the conveyor belts and stuff, right?
Yeah, the theme is awesome, but the strategy is deeper. So don't be fooled with the theme. It's like the individual puzzle is really interesting. Yeah,
I think Tom's
through conveyor belt.
Tom's review of that is going up this week, and he said that he played it at the game group, and him and another person both had to like get up and go buy a chocolate bar at the concession stand after playing the game.
Yeah, I can tell. Like the little chocolate pieces, it's just so cute. It's just adorable. So that's actually the games like that. It attracts me to the game, and then I look at the mechanics. But I think that's what happened with a lot of games, isn't it? You get attracted by the theme that you like, you relate to, and then you play it. And you like it,
Is there a theme you think we need to see more of? Like, is there the chocolate theme is kind of like a cool, unique thing with the conveyor belts and stuff. What other themes do you think are out there that you'd love to see more of?
I'm just looking at my board games at the moment around here. I don't know. Like the food theme, I think it works for some people, maybe not for others. I think more great artwork is more if you want to sell it. I think I like the medieval sort of like theme, like the architects or the West Kingdom, that sort of theme. That sort of theme, I love it.
I think it's so funny because there's so many fantasy and medieval theme games out there, but it's so crazy because it's like the reason there are so many is because people like it, And I mean, there's a ton of like, I always say like I'm a very basic geek or basic nerd because I like space and sci-fi and fantasy. Yeah. Like that's what I like, and I mean, there's so many games that already have that. But when a really good one comes out, I'm still interested, Yeah.
It's still because that's what you like. So if you like chocolate, you got a chocolate theme game. Like, hey, like it doesn't matter how much of that theme. It's like you almost. Well, I never get sick of it. And there's the sci-fi as well. They're like a Star Trek. Like I love Star Trek. Oh my god, that's like when I was little, I watched that like a lot. So that's awesome. That gets me into all this like the nerdy things. I don't know. Is that a good thing? Nerds, like, yeah, totally a nerd. But yeah,
I own it, honestly. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're winning at this point, so whatever. The nerds are taking over. I don't know. It's funny because sometimes I'll say things in the office and they're like, "You're a nerd," and I'm like, "I know. I don't. You guys already knew this. Come on." I'll start talking about some science thing, and they're like, "What? You're such a nerd." So it's fun.
I know, and I was like, Taryn beat me as a nerd. It's like, no, I'm a bigger nerd than you. Like he's such a...
Now we have competitions to see who's the more into more nerdy things, which is awesome, I think.
yeah, we both big nerds.
So with like the medieval stuff, do you like magic and stuff in it? Do you like Lord of the Rings type stuff, or is it more just you want straight medieval?
It's straight medieval. It doesn't have to be Lord of the Rings because that's very heavily thematic on certain movies or books. But I like the theme of Lord of the Rings, and that I watch like sci-fi fantasy books as well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have a lot of time these days, but when I do have time, that's what I like. And I like superhero teams. Yeah, that's definitely is my thing. Like movies these days, like superheroes. Like, do you like? Who wouldn't like superheroes, right? Like us nerds. It's like, oh, like good storyline.
I just pre-ordered the Marvel Champions game or whatever, the new LCG.
So what is it about? Because I've seen it everywhere, absolutely everywhere, and I still haven't actually found out what it's about.
It's like cooperative. I don't know. Have you seen like Marvel Legendary or games like that before?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar to that, but it's like Marvel Legendary mixed with the Lord of the Rings living card game, which is kind of like a thematic game where you're trying to like minimize threat and things like that. But in this game, you're superheroes and you're all like trying to battle and beat a bad guy, trying to knock their hit points down, and try to make it like do that before the threat goes up too high or the bad guy knocks you out. But it's completely cooperative, and you can do a little bit of deck building and things like that. I played a lot of collectible card games, so I'm a fan of that sort of thing anyway. But you can also play it very casually, where I don't think you have to do... It has like pre-built decks, and you can just use those. And if you like all the Marvel characters, it's the Marvel characters fighting Marvel bad guys, and you just work together as a team. Yeah. Do you like cooperative style games?
Yeah, I love it. I love cooperative, as long as I don't play with alpha players.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not that fun with alpha players, like somebody, just like completely leave you out of discussion and moving your pieces. Like, I'm not really... I don't really want to do that, but yes, basically yes. Like there's cooperative games that are like that one that you talk about, Marvel one. I think this is the time where you still control your own thing. You have your own deck.
Yeah, you have your own deck, and you can do different stuff. And
Spirit Islands, Spirit Islands is a good one too. So you have to. It's cooperative, but you're responsible for your own action. You can't really get other people to control it for you. Yeah. That's the type of cooperative games that I really like. I do play Pandemic, but I do choose who I'm playing with, I guess.
Right, yeah, you really have to.
Yeah, but then again, that's just game. Like, spending time with people is the one that's...
I think cooperative games are kind of fun too, because I think it's good for like the barrier of entry for new players, because you can play a game and you're not necessarily... Sometimes people are afraid to lose a game or afraid of other people being better than them. In a cooperative game, you're all working together as a team. Especially when there's so many people who haven't played board games, I feel like they don't know that cooperative games exist. So it's like, what? Yeah. You play the game against the game? I mean, they know Monopoly and Sorry and Trouble and all that stuff. Yeah. But those are all competitive where you're fighting against each other. In this game, we're working together. And there's so many good ones that I feel like can help bring people into the hobby. But yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The alpha player can be a big deal too. You just have to be careful about, Yeah.
Just people that just started board games. We don't make sure that we're not alpha play at them, because we're the experienced one and we don't want to be the alpha player. Right. We may do this, by accident. We may not realize that we've done that, but we shouldn't do that. But yeah, I love cooperative game. That's just... I know some people don't really like it that much, but I like it where we like work together. But
I love the discussion. Like I like to be on my turn, not be the alpha player, and be like, what should I do, guys? What do you guys think? I want to discuss what we all think we should do. And I mean, I don't want to force us to be one way or the other, but I want to see what the table as a whole thinks would be a good idea. I just played at the Dice Tower Retreat. I played the Mansions of Madness, the one with the app, and it was just a good time because we were all just talking about what we thought we should do together and what we thought was going on.
Yeah.
And there was twists and turns in the story, and we're like, did they do the murder? Did that person do the murder? Like, what's going on here? And it was just really fun to all talk together and be like, all right, I'm going to give you an extra action so you can move over there and you can do that thing. And they're like, oh, yeah, that'd be a good idea. And then they do this and you do that. And it's just fun to work together in those games.
Absolutely. Now, the other type of kind of like cooperative game that I like, now that you mentioned this cooperative, like working together thing, is like team versus team.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of like, that's like, I'm just looking at the game now. Dice Throne has that, so team versus team.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of like cooperative, but you're still fighting against each other, but you're working with your teammate. The new Concordia has got that as well. I really love it, so I feel like I belong or part of the team. But the thing that I'm a bit scared is that disappointing my teammate. I'm like, no, I'm like, no, because of me, the team loses. But yeah, then just deal with that, I guess. Have you played that? Like the one that's, you team versus team rather than the full cooperative?
I've played several games that are team versus team. One of the big ones that I think about is like Captain Sonar. I don't know if you've played that one before. It's like the giant team where you got to play with a whole bunch of different people, and one person's a specialist, one person's the other thing. I think that's the first game I ever played with Mandy and Dan King. I played Captain Sonar with him, and it was a fun time. Emerson was our radar technician. I'm like, he's the only guy I want for the team. He's the best. So.
Yeah, I remember playing that as well with Tarrant. It was like it's the first time I invited him over with a bunch of other people, and the hardest part, I can't remember, was it a captain in Captain Sonar?
Oh yeah, the captain has to say where they're going, like, oh, we're going north, oh, we're going south, and they have to be cognizant about like the engine room and where the other people are and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
I think that's what Tarrant does. That's like, oh, impressive. Like, I haven't dated him like at the time we went dating. So yeah.
So really, the reason you guys are together is because of your sweet Captain Sonar skills.
And Valley of the Kings, like I got beaten by him, so that's quite impressive.
To be honest, you probably threw the game to make him like you more, didn't you?
What? No.
You're like, I don't throw games. I'd never do such a thing.
Yeah, I love those games. Yeah, hey, that's the thing though. This is the one that I feel like if there's a mode, like, like this game, there's like solo mode, cooperative mode, there's like team versus team. Yeah, that's awesome. I wish there are more games with team versus team like that. You should try Concordia team versus team. That's awesome.
Oh, really?
If you haven't, have you? Yeah. The new one, what is it called? Concordia Venus. I think they have that mode where you play team versus team.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I haven't played that one yet.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, sorry, I just talk about this random game.
I love it. I mean, that's literally what the show is about us just talking and people getting to know you, and then just going wherever the conversation leads, which is really fun.
Yeah.
I guess let's get back to the how to play videos, like talking about meetups and getting people into gaming. Like, I feel like these how to play videos are such a great like resource to the community and for people that want to get into gaming, because one of the most intimidating parts about getting into gaming is the rulebook itself, Like video games do have tutorials where they talk you through all these things. Like, these how to play videos can help people like learn the game. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I think as well. So even if you go to Meetup and you may not know the game, I'd like to try to learn it beforehand. Like, some people probably do the same, so that sometimes you have environment where it's really loud, like in one of those meetups, and you can't really hear the explainers. So at least you come prepared, like watch the video first, because you haven't got the board games, you haven't got the rule books, although you can probably download them. So it's good to, have prepared. It's also helping with buying decision, but
I think it will mainly before playing the games,
Mm-hmm.
and people explaining the games in a different way as well. Like you call me a snob, but if Tarrant or myself explaining, we have to call each other's out if we don't explain games in a logical manner. I think that's big for us. So it has to be logical. It's not like, say we're explaining games. It's kind of like the same with our videos as well. So we don't want to explain like, hey, you do this, like you have to like this a certain structure that we do. Every game is different, but we wanted to do it so that you understand the overall of the game first. What is it about? How do you win, like roughly, and then the overview of what you do on your turn, and then get into details of what you do like in each turn. So that way, it's probably, if it's not like that, I usually get confused. Like someone explained to me, like straight into that, like what? So I want to make sure that I don't do that. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. I don't want to try to confuse people. So that's what we're trying to aim for our videos as well, and we try to explain games as well, so that it's make the most logical order and the most sense, and not too fast. Hopefully, so pace it up a little bit so that people can kind of like absorb the explanation.
Yeah, for sure.
If they want to have it faster, all they can do is just put the video on fast forward, right? Just like, and we're talking like chipmunk, like if they want to get it faster. But just try to help as much as possible in the logical order possible. So, and like me and Taryn sometimes disagree. Like, hey, no, we should explain this first in our video. No, we have to explain this one first because this is more logical. So
you'll have negotiations on how the game should be explained.
Yeah, not negotiation as much. Yeah, maybe, but like just each other. Like, yes, this is. You should probably do this because of this. No, we should do this first, and then yeah, and he's very good at that. Like he always listens, and I always like, oh yeah, agree. Like we always come to agreement. But yeah, with game overview at the start of the video is, I think it's pretty important. So you got the like overall idea, what is it? Because otherwise you don't know what you're aiming for, you don't know what you're gonna do in the games. I think so. Like,
do you start a lot with like what the point of the game is, or how the game ends, or how to win the game at the beginning? So that way people kind of like, okay, this is sort of what we're doing a little bit. Yeah. And
then drilling into details of what exactly is what this means, and what do you do here, what do you do that, and also some tips if we can. So for beginners. But speaking about tips, I have a new segment that I haven't mentioned. Is the board game designers tips. You know how I mentioned earlier in this interview how I admire those publishers, designers that work behind the screen. So I've been asking some of them to send me videos of themselves giving tips and strategies for their board games. Yeah, like I think it's been well received by the public, so I want to keep doing that. I have more coming. Get them to share the tips. I think that's quite handy, especially for people just beginning to play the games and trying different strategy. So I think hopefully they'll be helpful, for other people as well.
Oh, gotcha. And is that actually like part of the video, like the designer tips of how to play the game?
I used to put it together, but now I separate them. It's like some of our videos that we do to play, we have that at the end. But it's kind of like lengthening the videos. But now I put it separately, as well as the new ones. So I've asked Jamie Stegmaier, he's really cool. He's like, send me like the next day, like he sent me the tips, like, oh, tapestry, sweet, thank you.
That's
and
awesome.
I've got a few others. Oh, yeah, that's coming. So I'm quite excited for that one. That's just kind of like, I feel that would help people that, just don't know about the games yet, because it's going to be overwhelming, some games, especially the heavy one. I like I've played a lot of heavy games as well, like the Lucida's game, like Lisboa, Vinhos, Gallerist, and it could be like, what do you do? Especially if you're the first player. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and sometimes some games are more forgiving than others. Some games, if you don't do right at the beginning, or you fail the wrong auction, you know, it's like, hey, you bid too high on that, now you're going to be low on money the rest of the game. Bad move, you know? So, yeah, it's interesting.
Food Chain Magnate. You played Food Chain Magnate?
I haven't yet. That's one that I should play, even though it is, like, not my kind of game at all. Like, I'm not, like, I am very much, like, the thematic theme. Like, I like building up resources and stuff like that. But I just kind of want to play, like, some of those extremely, like, not my games just so I can learn from them, you know? Because there's so many things you can learn from all sorts of different games.
Absolutely, yeah. I play some war games as well sometimes. I can see that Dan Pancaldi just like putting some comments or something. I don't know what it is on Facebook. So hi Dan. He's cool. I wish you have him on the show next time.
Oh yeah, soon. That would be awesome. I need to hit him up.
Yeah. So yeah, just always try new games. Like I play war games a little bit, and Food Chain Magnate is one of my early games. That's amazing, and that's you were saying that if you do wrong moves at the first few turns, then I think that's kind of like Food Chain Magnate. You can actually ruin your game before even you play it at the setup. So when you actually have to set up where you're gonna have your shop on the main board, if you don't do it right, you might run your game, and then the next 3 hours will be, you know, probably be miserable.
That's rough, man. Hopefully, as a new player, the person teaching the game is nice enough to like let you know where a good starting spot would be. You know.
That's why you need to watch the how to play videos for it, which we do by the way. So yeah.
Do you like to like look at like actual like big strategy tips like for board games before you play them, like to be better at the game? I feel like a lot of times I like to learn the game as I go along. I don't like look up too many things before I play it.
Yeah. I do like that. I was like, here, if I'm confused, I can just casually look at what it is, because those strategy can also like give you some indication, a little bit of the game rules as well.
Yeah.
Where do you start, sort of thing. It's good to kind of like see how you go, but I think some of our friends does it really well, and while explaining, you also give some tips for beginners, like you have to do this, you have to do that. Like the one that did explain to us at the start, the Food Chain Magnate, he told us about like, you know, do this, do that. And the good thing as well, this is about Food Chain Magnate, but slightly different topic, is the catch-up mechanics, which is the expansion is coming out. I don't know when that it is coming out, so I'm guessing it will be good.
That'll help, because if you put your thing in the wrong space at the beginning, then you can have ketchup mechanics, and hopefully you have fries for all that ketchup.
Yeah, with it, it's so thematic. I just can't wait for it. It's like, I actually contacted them, like, is it going to be in Essen? Yes, okay, I'm going to try to demo it in Essen.
Oh, that's awesome.
Totally.
Yeah, I think the only game that I really get into that whole strategy stuff like beforehand is like the collectible card games and stuff like that, because I used to play a lot of CCGs, and I'd be like, oh, like what are the best decks, like look at strategies, like what are the best like top 10 broken cards or something like that. Like I did a Magic pre-release with Tom and a few other local guys at Cool Stuff, and I actually went through and like looked at a bunch of the cards beforehand, so I'd know what was in the set before I played. But I don't normally do that with a board game ever. Like I don't try to figure out how to win a board game before I play it, because I want it to be a casual, laid-back experience where it's more about the people I'm playing with than crushing my opponents, you know.
Yeah, I know. It could be like that. I know that people play differently. Some people play to win. I know that some people play to win, or just like even a little bit of a strategy to kind of like a bit of a guidance, and then just discover it yourself. Like either way, I'm fine. As I say, I don't have to win. Winning is a bonus. Winning against bonus. So I would also like to play. Well, I used to play a little bit of Magic back in the day, but I haven't started. It was just someone else's leftover cards that was left behind. It was like, I think my sister's ex-boyfriend or something, and then just like left the Magic cards. So I'm like, ooh, Magic cards, and I started using it. But I didn't start because I'm just worried I can't be stopped when I start.
Yes, don't do it. I And the thing about Magic, and like I said, I trade away all my cards for board games, but it's like the thing is they have like I played a ton and got really good decks, and like there's set rotation, so eventually the cards that you have are no longer legal for standard, so they rotate them out, and that's when I was like, I'm done. I spent all this money on all these cards, and I have to buy a bunch of new cards to be competitive again, and I was like, no more. And board games are so much easier because you can just put a board game on the table and play with anybody. I can't play Magic or a game that I'm really, really good at, even with like these Euro games. If you're like, hey, let me show you this Euro game I've played 1,000,000 times, let's play this together, you're probably most likely going to like crush them in that game. But that's why I like some of the more random thematic games, so that we can like play the game together and see what happens, or like cooperative games where it's like, let's work together to play this game. I don't know.
Yeah. Like these days, like you do a lot of like prototype, maybe prototypes or new games. Not really a lot of videos out there. You're just like, let's just play, see how it goes. It's just fun to discover those new games. And you find a lot of gems as well. Sometimes it's like, oh, you haven't heard of this game, and all of a sudden like, oh, what is this? Like my best of the month for August was Mini Rails.
Oh, nice.
It's just it's so good. It's like some people call it is really, really, really light 18xx game. It's 45 minutes to an hour. It's got that buying stock, building rail track. There's another one that's called Meeple Party. It's really cute. It's like the object is to you need to get certain meeples in certain rooms. It's like random room tiles, and then take a selfie.
Oh, nice.
It's so funny, and the thematic is really funny, but the actual puzzle element is quite substantial as well. So
nice.
It's a decent game. Yeah, it's probably my best of the month for this month.
Oh man,
it's really good.
I need to get my best of the month in. I saw Z just posted about it. I'm like, I already know what it's going to be. I played a ton of that Marvel Champions game. I played a ton of Marvel Champions, and I'm excited because I have a ton of pictures of that too. I always try to like put pictures in my best of the month, so I'm like, I'm going to do this. So
totally. Fun. Yeah, good to share. I saw the on the Slack group as well. We got Slack group like that needs to be submitted.
We're going to spoil all the behind the scenes of the Dice Tower. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's all good. Yeah, it's fun. It's really cool. I love like the whole community we have, and I mean, we're all friends like at the Dice Tower, but then outside of that, there's plenty of people that aren't part of the Dice Tower that are really cool in board game media. It's cool to like hang out with all these other people who are excited about board games and excited about sharing the games with each other. I don't know. I love the board game community overall.
Yeah, totally. So do I. And that board game breakfast is good. Like I get to meet, cool people like you, Dan, and the Kirby's. And so many other ones. After Gen Con as well, when we had that dinner thing. Like the people behind us. Like it's crazy. It's like this Michael, Kenny, like who? What? There are people behind the screen? That's awesome. But of course there's people behind the screen. But they're so cool. Yeah, like Kenny needs to be on the show, man. Like he's cool.
I wonder if I could get Kenny to come on. That would be awesome. Like someday. he doesn't like to do like in front of the camera stuff or any of that stuff. But I love talking to Kenny. Like I don't know, it's fun talking to all sorts of different people from all different aspects of life, and that have different tastes in games and just different hobbies in general. And I don't know, that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to start this, was just to get to know more people. It's just fun.
It's really good. Like I really like it. I watch it. I put a reminder on calendar, say if I'm available. I'll be like, Roy's podcast or Australian time is Tuesday at 11 a.m.
Tuesday at 11 a.m.
Like, so for me, like, for you, it's like Monday at 9 p.m.
Yep.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that's good. It's going to be a podcast, right? As well.
So this goes up. Not only it's on the Dice Tower Facebook group, so if anybody wants to watch it live, they can come in. And we have chat. I try not to interact with the chat too much because I don't want to turn into a Q&A or anything crazy like that, but I like to have like a natural discussion in between me and the guest. And the people that come by and chat are really cool. But I also put it up on iTunes as the audio. So if anybody wants to check out, like, search Spaces Between on iTunes or Google Play, and if there's any like podcast thing you use and it's not on there, let me know. I try to put it on like Stitcher and several other things, but I don't know how many different ones there are out there that everybody's using. But I try to put it up on a bunch of them. This is still a little bit new, and then it goes up on the Dice Tower the following Monday. So the one that I did with Mark Streed just went up. This one's going to come up. And if you're watching this on the Dice Tower now, then I will be having Ryan Courtney on the show tonight in the future. And he's the designer of Pipeline. So I'm having a designer on. So
I know, like, I met him, like, wasn't he there after we played Foundations of Rome?
Yeah, he's a super nice dude, and he's really good friends with Emerson as well. So I'm excited to talk to him. So it'll be cool to have his take, because it's like a fresh and upcoming designer that who's like just new to the scene. So it'll be fun.
Oh, that's so good. And there's gonna be expansion for Pipeline as well.
Oh yeah, he's been posting a lot of that on Twitter too. So
yeah. Oh,
so hey,
awesome.
everybody, come back next week to watch that as well.
Yeah.
So Stella, we're right at an hour. Do you want to share with anybody things that you have upcoming? I know you have at least a couple of how to plays coming up soon. I know you're not allowed to talk about everything, but can you tease a little bit of stuff?
Sure. Yeah, I posted recently the arena contest. Mm-hmm. So I've been speaking to them, and it's quite a big game, so takes a little bit to learn all the rules. Like they've got like this player versus player, and this the basic one. There's a solo one, so we kind of like want to see what's actually involved before doing the video. And there's another one that is a secret project. Mm-hmm. Secret project for maybe the tiny epics. That's very exciting. That's really. Yeah, as I said earlier, it's probably, if it's not the best that I like, it's probably one of the best that they've got. So that's coming.
That's awesome.
And more to come.
Hype. If there's a publisher out there listening and they're kind of interested in like what you do and are excited about the whole how to play stuff and would love to have a how to play on the Dice Tower, how do they reach out to you?
They can contact me on all social media like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or Stella@dicetower.com, email. I think that's probably the easiest one. Just check out. I need rulebook though, so I can read. That's as a minimum. Just let me know, and then we'll have a look, and we'll get back to you. I'm usually pretty good at getting back to people via emails as well, as long as I'm not asleep because of the time difference.
Oh my goodness, and you're so on the ball about everything all the time, and you're just like, okay, Roy, this is this. Like most of my guests that I've had on here have just been like, okay, I'll show up at that time, whatever. Like sounds like, okay, we're gonna do a calendar invite, we're gonna do this. It's like she's like breaking down like the time zones, like this is this time, your time, my time, this time. Stella is super on the ball, so
I try to be organized, right?
I know it's a really good job. And it's like, cool. So hey, if somebody wants somebody professional, Stella's the most professional there is out there. She'll get back to you, that's for sure.
Thanks so much, Roy. Thanks for having me here.
Well, thanks so much, and I'm stoked to hopefully see you more at other conventions and to see all of your amazing how to plays and all of your other board game breakfasts, things like that. So super stoked. Well, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me here. I'll see you next interview soon as well next week. I can't wait for it.
Yay! Bye!
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.